the cost to jump from the red line to the green line gets significantly more and more the longer we leave it.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, this gap, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what we were saying before with the same with the not servicing the car. It's $20,000 now after 3 years instead of the $3,000.
Yeah.
For me to lose the weight, I was having to cut all these meals or calories and not enjoy what I was eating as much and not being able to go out with friends and party the way I was. And so that cost, that jump is significant.
Yeah.
And so the sooner we get onto putting in proactive steps and addressing the issue on a more regular basis, often that's what proactivity looks like, we're going to see a great result at the end. Welcome to the table.
Thank you.
I don't think I've been on a podcast with you.
Never. Ever.
Well,
I'm normally
in
behind
life?
the camera or...
I don't think so. We've done one with you.
Yeah, we did the first one.
Wow.
I've been on another one with Tim.
I saw that.
That was a banger.
You looked really interested in that conversation.
Okay. Yes, I did learn that I need to fix my face when I'm on camera.
Yeah, like resting bitch face on.
Yeah. And it just, in general, looked like I wasn't interested. I was interested.
You
It's
love
just my face just...
Well, when you're used
I
to
gotta
being
fix my
behind
face.
the camera, the first time in front of the camera can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, so anyway, my pointer that I got from that episode...
you've learnt a lesson.
I was very interested in what Tim was saying, and I am interested in that topic of sustainability and in flooring. But I learned I need to fix my
Nowhere
face.
else in life. Just
Just in flooring.
sustainability.
Goes past the recycling bin.
Yeah, no.
Little
Not
clause.
interested. Flooring only.
Yeah. It's a good thing you own a flooring business.
Yeah.
But we've had some people who have been engaging with our content reach out to you and ask you some questions.
Yeah, super exciting. People are engaging and interested in what we're saying.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't told you guys this.
Tell
At
us.
Dua Lipa concert, on the floor, a guy came up to me and said, "Oh, I've seen your content."
Are you kidding?
Yeah, and he was
That
a
is not
facility
true.
manager in a Jabberwocky.
That is not true.
100%.
Absolutely not true.
100% true. I will find the guy on LinkedIn and
Seriously?
show, yeah, he was like, "Oh, you do a facility
Aaron,
thing."
you're a floor fluencer.
Floor fluence.
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
Mum, I've made it.
You're
This is
welcome.
good.
You're welcome.
That's crazy.
But all those facility managers, they need something to listen to on the train. Let's
That's
face
true.
it.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
That is very
We
true.
saw the void. We thought, yeah, we can help.
There's a gap in the market and we're going to fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been asked?
Yeah, wow.
Very well.
So we've had a couple of people reach out. I think in some of the early episodes, we talked about being proactive versus reactive when it comes to flooring, but also just facility management as a whole. And I thought I'd bring it to the table and kind of break that down. What are our thoughts of what proactive versus reactive is?
Because it's easy to talk about.
Oh, yeah, for us, so easy.
Yeah. And it's like this, it's like this theory, like proactive versus reactive. What does it mean when rubber hits
Yeah.
the road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What does it mean?
Well, I guess different people would have different definitions of what proactive is versus reactive.
How would you define it?
How would, in terms of what?
In terms of facility management, what does it look
But
like to be
what?
proactive?
In terms of like maintaining
Anything.
a floor?
Anything in
terms
general.
of like in terms of maintaining like their building's HVAC system, well, it would be like servicing it as per like the requirement of the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Would you almost say that would almost be like just doing the bare minimum would be baseline though? Like so for instance, the way I think about it is we like a lot of facility managers will for instance get their carpet cleaned once a year.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence of whether that's reactive or if that's
I don't think it's
proactive.
reactive because it's still doing something. I think the definition of reactive is your clients coming to you saying, why do the carpets look like this? Or reactive is, crap, the air conditioning unit's not working in the building now. And we can't get the temperature down to a livable standard on a hot day.
Yeah.
Like those decisions you make once something bad has happened and you have to fix it, that's reactive. If you're doing the bare minimum, it might not really be proactive, it might just be baseline. Maybe there's 3 categories: reactive, baseline, and proactive.
But the manufacturers of these products, they still have like what they would recommend to maintain. Like for flooring, for example, in their maintenance schedules, maintenance, what are they called? Books or guides.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do say in there that, it's recommended to do like full cleans, but then also like they have like a table of like
How to spot clean,
but also like high traffic passages, and then they've got like a frequency they recommend, and they've got like, they've got a whole breakdown. So they do in those books recommend,
Certain
like programs.
Well,
programs.
probably isn't baseline. If there's reactive, proactive, the middle line's active.
Yeah. Well, no, proactive is doing what the manufacturer recommends for their product.
But
So the baseline is inactive. What's the middle?
because
You've got pro and re.
because what
There is no middle. You're either proactive
so it's
or
a
reactive.
continuum, and as soon as you cross the line, you're one or the other.
Well, no, because when you think about it, let's take it back to carpet cleaning. A lot of, as I said before, a lot of facility managers will do one big end of year clean, but that doesn't necessarily match up with the manufacturer's instructions of doing, your high traffic passageways on a little bit more of a frequent. But they're not doing nothing. They're not waiting until someone goes, hey, meeting room 16.3 looks like absolute dog turd.
So they're active, but it's not necessarily proactive in that it's fixing the problem and maintaining it at a standard that they like. It's not actually reactive where it's getting to a problem that they have to fix.
Exactly.
But it's active.
But proactive is also, I would sort of more describe it as like you've got the plan for the year.
Yep.
And you say you're the facility manager, you've got in whatever system you're using, the planned work orders to send out to your, contractors, suppliers, whatever they are, to do the work. So it's like being proactive is like you've got that schedule. In 2 months this service is going to happen and it's going to maintain this. 6 months it's going to maintain this. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that's like I think more how I think about proactive is like the schedule is set up, like they know what is coming.
Set up to lead you to success and to maintaining something at a good standard.
Yeah, and there can still be reactive things on top of the proactive.
Well, you can't
Like
avoid some
in our
emergencies.
world, a reactive is like, there's a coffee stain.
Yeah, someone spills some coffee or a wine.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to be proactive. Well, you're proactive with that by being reactive.
Yes, and you're also
Does that make
proactive
sense?
with that by being on a program or with a supplier that
That
a
can
service
do
provider
that.
that does spot cleaning for you.
Yes.
that can come
You
in
know,
on.
you know how to contact them. It's all set up, ready to go. It's just easy.
Yeah.
Not having to. I was about to say flick through the yellow pages. Who does that?
No,
Gee.
They might just go on Google.
Just not have to Google and find who does spot carpet cleaning in my area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it also makes me think that there might be different levels of proactive as well. There's proactive where you're just, as you said, following instructions. You've got proactive where I've got a program that, I've had a carpet specialist come in or a flooring or a HVAC specialist and go, look, you'll get by on what the care instructions say, but this is probably an ideal for your building, the amount of people that come in. Yeah. And then you've got people that think 5-10 years into the future and go, this is our goal with our carpet. This is our goal with our fit out. How do we make sure that we're going to be in this building for 10 years? How do we make sure that we're going to be not having to do extra spending and be able to use this to its full capability?
And that's the deal. Like you just said there, is that being reactive is costly. Like it costs you something when you're reactive. And it often costs you more than being proactive. Like I think about years ago, I was almost 3 times the size I am now. I was a big boy. You knew me when I was a big boy in the 3 digits club, well into it.
Yes.
And I wasn't keeping up with my son. I wasn't feeling healthy. I was getting sick all the time. I'd get puffed out just climbing the stairs to go to bed at night. Like there was areas of my life that it was costing me big time, but then also the cost for me to get to a healthy place was significant because for me to be able to lose the weight and do so in a timely manner, I had to cut a whole lot of things. It cost me being able to go out and have a burger with friends because I was watching my calories and and I was getting up early and going swimming every day. So there was this high cost for a period of time to get me to a place where I was happy again. And now that I'm at this place, I just want to maintain it. So now I'm doing little things. It's not costing me as much as it was when I was trying to lose it and trying to fix the problem. Now I'm just maintaining it. And so I'm spending a little bit of energy to keep the results.
Maintain rather than like such a lot of effort to jump up.
Yeah. So I think it's applicable in every area of your life, the idea of being proactive versus reactive.
100%. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but this guy used to be a mechanic.
Yes.
Did I ever mention that? Have I ever mentioned that?
I think I mention it a lot every time I've got a problem with my car and I don't know what to do.
There's
Sam,
not many problems
please.
with that cars.
No,
Let's
but
be honest.
Your old car.
My old car.
With the
I was like,
Teslas?
I don't know
Yeah.
what to do this. I don't know what to do with this.
I don't know if
Sammy,
we're allowed to tell people that we have Teslas anymore. It's not a cool thing.
Not the cool. I bought it before
Hey,
all the recent.
I've serviced it once in 3 years, so it was when I had to get my tires changed. So I recommend.
Would recommend. But talking about servicing your car, it's exact same. When I was a mechanic, we used to have people that would come in with a car from the 80s, but they had serviced it like clockwork, never missed a service, and that car drove fantastic. There was no problems. Sure, it's an older car.
What sort of car are we talking?
Like you think about
Nissan
like
Kintara?
Ooh, I wouldn't go that old. Like a little Holden Apollo back from like
Don't know what
the
that is.
late 90s, or you get your Camrys that come in. But then you get the exact opposite. So you've got that person that, really looks after their car and doesn't miss a service. And then we had people, usually younger people, would come in with a brand new MG or a brand new Nissan Micra, and they brought it 2-3 years ago. They haven't serviced it at all. And anyone that has, a conventional car knows that, every 6 months, every 10,000 Ks, you're meant to go get it serviced. And these people were coming in and going, oh, it sounds a little bit funny. They've come in because there is a problem.
Doing the tick. That's
Doing
when
the
I knew I
tick,
needed
or
an
it
oil
might
change
be
back in the day.
misfiring. And they go, oh, I've missed a couple services. We get in there, we drain the oil, we find that it's super gluggy. You've got, a bit of metal in your oil. And we have to go back to that customer and go, okay, because you didn't do anything for the last 2-3 years for your car, it's now going to cost you 10, 15, 20 grand for you to replace the engine. So that cost of inaction, I don't know, being a Tesla driver, we like, and I know.
Hey, 3 Tesla drivers on the table.
But
Life
like
must be pretty good.
Carpet's pretty good. But being out, like looking after the car and getting that 6 monthly service, which costs what, $250, $500 in that ballpark.
Yep.
Do that twice a year. You're looking at $1,000, $3,000 over that period of time that person to proactively look after it should have spent. Because they didn't, they're now looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, which is a huge jump.
And when they try and resell it, they don't have any service stamps in their book, so its value's gone down.
Yeah,
It's just a problem.
it's not great. I do think a visual aid would be great. For what?
Lucky
Look what I've got in my pocket.
No, we were talking about this earlier, and there's something that sometimes I'll draw for a facility manager or a procurement manager when we're talking about the idea of putting in a program to maintain their carpet rather than just the once a year steam clean that the general cleaners will do.
Yeah.
And so if you think about time as in here we are now and this being a timeline, and then if you think about, well, north of the line, north of the baseline, north of what we're just happy with, is what success looks like or the ideal. And then south of the baseline, we have what failure is. And you get to these places either by being proactive or reactive.
100%.
So we get to success on this curved line by being proactive, which is what we were talking about earlier. I hope my writing's horrible. I'm very, very sorry. It's a very slippery screen, the iPad.
Wouldn't know.
And we get to failure
Ben hasn't brought me one.
by being reactive.
I think we have. Have you sold it?
That's how I afforded my Tesla.
And so if we think about the idea of if the end of this line is maybe whenever we need to replace something or fully replace it.
Yeah.
So it's the lifespan of the facility, the assets within the facility.
Yeah.
We think about, well, if we get onto it now and start to maintain and be proactive, we're going to see longevity and we're going to double our asset lifespans, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're reactive, it's going to be a shorter period of time that we've got it. It's going to be failure. And the cost to jump from the red line to the green line gets significantly more and more the longer we leave it.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, this gap, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what we were saying before with the same with the not servicing the car. It's $20,000 now after 3 years instead of the $3,000.
Yeah.
For me to lose the weight, I was having to cut all these meals or calories and not enjoy what I was eating as much and not being able to go out with friends and party the way I was. And so that cost, that jump is significant.
Yeah.
And so the sooner we get onto putting in proactive steps and addressing the issue on a more regular basis, often that's what proactivity looks like, we're going to see a great result at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The client's going to be happy.
Yeah. And as you said, the cost as well is huge. Like when you think about where, like for instance, if you're a one floor tenant in a building, the cost of proactively looking after your flooring might cost you a couple $1,000s a year.
Yep.
I've heard of, that same 1,000 to 2,000 square meter floor costing $100,000 in floor replacement.
Yep.
And being able to avoid that by spending, a couple % of it is huge.
Yeah.
Especially in this climate.
Especially in this climate. The climate is big. We've got you've been in the game for a while now. You've seen
Not as long as Colin.
But you've seen that proactive use case quite significantly be like.
Yes, there's a building that we've looked after. I mean, there's lots of buildings that we've looked after for a long time. There's
Small
one
flex.
that specifically comes to mind is that, we were in there basically nightly, to be honest, but weekly. And, over the period of about 15, maybe 16 years, we maintained the flooring to a point where, the carpets were basically, I mean, I wouldn't say they were good as new, but they were much better presented than you would expect for
a
carpets of that
15-year-old
age.
carpet.
Yeah, and we're talking bright colours off kitchen, so like super high traffic. It gets filthy, but then we were able to maintain it. So yeah,
and the only real problem with them now, which is 16 years in, 16 years in, is that they're just not as plush. Like
the carpet's truly at its end of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've been able to maximize it, whereas most other buildings are replacing 5 to 7 years because they don't have that in place.
Look, a lot of buildings, this isn't going to help with our analogy, but a lot of buildings do replace it just for aesthetics.
Yeah, but we're getting into a place where we're trying to make sustainable
If we're
choices.
making sustainable choices, we obviously want to pick a product that, is, almost timeless.
Yeah.
Like that'll last the full 15 years.
Yep.
Because these manufacturers are warranting, if we're talking about carpet tiles, they're warranting the carpet tiles for 15 years.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why they shouldn't be, if we're maintaining them according to their maintenance guide.
Yeah.
And their maintenance guides say that, there should, I don't know off the top of my head exactly what some of them say. They all differ a little bit, but they do make distinctions between like workstation areas, high traffic passages.
Yep. Frequency.
Entranceways, all that type of stuff.
Yes.
There's different frequencies for cleaning and maintaining that carpet.
Yep.
And so, if you're being proactive and sort of ticking that box of maintaining it, as they've said, there's no reason why it shouldn't last 15 years.
Yeah. 100%. You were about to say something, Sammy.
Yeah, because I'm trying to put myself into the shoe of a facility manager, and again, like it all sounds great, but what happens if I have a problem where I'm struggling with budget? My boss has said, "Hey, we just don't have budget. because it's very good for all of us to sit here and go, just spend the money. I think initially you probably have to, and guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but like I think there's probably a few things and a few questions that need to be asked first. Like why, I guess, are we restricting budget? Are we doing a renovation soon? Are we moving out of the building?
Yeah.
Or are we just broke? Or do we have, or I guess like, or do we just have other priorities? And I think as a facility manager, that would probably be my first 3 questions. But then I guess opening the table, where to go from there?
Well, yeah, I think it depends on their priorities, because at the end of the day, we don't know what the priority of the person that makes the decision on why that business is leasing that space. If they're only planning, if their lease is only like for the next 5 years in that location, well, maybe they won't do the full maintenance program to make the cuppa last 15 years because, well, it doesn't really make sense if they're planning on leaving in 5 years.
Yeah, there's no point.
And it also does come back to like who actually bears the cost of replacing the cuppa, because if in their lease agreement it's the landlord, well, they're just going to, what they need to do is basically just maintain it so that they've got a healthy work environment for their staff.
Yeah.
So I guess, I know that, that might not align with the carpet manufacturer's instructions or the hard floor manufacturer's instructions. But, it's for, in their situation, it's more about a healthy workspace.
Yeah.
Than the longevity of the product.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you think about, well, what do the decision makers care about at the end of the day? And often these decision makers are a few steps removed from the on the grounds facility manager. They're either an executive in a different office, in a different state, who's the one signing off on it. If it's a smaller facility, maybe they're just an executive who has so many other things they're signing off on, right? But at the end of the day, most executives care about red line, green line decisions.
Yeah.
They do care about the cost of inaction if they understand it. And so I think those budget restraints and constraints that facility managers or in any business, any person who isn't the decision maker, they have to submit a request to someone higher. It comes back to that idea of everything is sales. They've got to figure out how do they communicate this need to that executive in a way that that person will care about it and understand it and want to make action.
Yeah.
And so that whole cost of inaction, that's a way that they can describe it to that executive to say, hey, well, if we don't make a decision today, or if we don't start doing A, B, C on whatever it is we're trying to be proactive in and maintain, then the small cost today could be 10 times the cost in a few years' time. And straight away, that executive goes, that's not going to look good.
Yeah.
That's not going to look good on my P&L. It's not going to look good on my cash flow statements. Nothing's going to be better than just
addressing it
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the way around budgets. But sometimes then there's still just not enough cash flow or like not enough wiggle room to make some decisions, and they do need to get delayed, unfortunately.
Yeah, or they need to get planned for in the next budget.
In the next financial year's budget.
Yeah.
But it's about understanding that now and working towards
and that actually
budget.
happens all the time for us. Is like we have facility managers contact us and say, we want to put a program in.
Yeah. How much are we looking at? Because I need to budget
just
it
give me a figure that I can put in our budget, and then obviously,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sort of answers the question around what's proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
When it comes to the facility space. And we talk from a carpet and flooring perspective because that's what we know. But I think you can take that framework and apply it to most
of the other
most
areas.
use cases in a facility.
Yeah.
I don't know the first thing about HVAC. You probably do a little bit. You're a master of all trades, Ben.
No. I do like my indoor air quality.
You do love
Our office has a lot of
air purifiers.
HEPA filters.
Yeah.
You do. I like to fart in Ben's one because I love seeing the red light. You know, something's happened.
Yeah.
So
Got a
I'll
bit of
go
E. coli here.
Go into Ben's office and just let off a little silent but deadly one. You know.
Little toot.
Wow. That's
What a
crazy.
way to end! What a way to end today's podcast.
no
Next
idea.
time you walk into your office, just
That's crazy.
You're welcome. It's just the little office pranks that
And to
you
think
don't
this
get in trouble
episode
with
was
HR
going
about.
so well. We were so professional.
yeah.
And then it's a really slippery slope.
Yeah.
Indoor air quality. That's
Straight into
that's
farting.
yeah,
That's the slope.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Ciao.